The developer claims that the third season of Squid Game had a pleasant conclusion at first. As the third season of Squid Game came to a close with Song Gi-hun's Lee Young-jae tragic sacrifice, the show's writer-director Hwang Dong-hyuk disclosed that he had initially intended for the main character to survive the games. According to a Vanity Fair interview, Hwang first considered Gi-hun leaving the island with Jun-hee's infant and a few of the other major characters who made it out alive in order to visit his daughter in the United States. He went on to say that the only conclusions he had in mind were these alternative and present ends. But since the world had already gotten worse when Squid Game debuted in 2021, he believed the current conclusion was more appropriate. The prospect of conflict was growing in many parts of the world, economic inequality was getting worse, there were no meaningful solutions being offered for the climate catastrophe, and more disadvantaged people were slipping out of the social safety net. According to Hwang, the younger generations seemed to be losing hope for the future. According to a source, he continued, "I thought it was time for us to make sacrifices and start thinking seriously about how we can create a better future. The infant represents the next generation and hope. I intended to express the message that this is how we should look at providing a better world for the next generation by having Gi-hun, an elder generation member, sacrifice himself to save that child." That, in my opinion, was the best conclusion for this series. Season 3 of Squid Game concluded with Gi-hun taking his own life to give Jun-hee's child a better life, which ultimately led to the latter winning the lethal games. Nevertheless, the frontman, Lee Byung-hun, and the Pink Soldiers destroyed the island and made their permanent getaway as a result of the game's imminent discovery. A few months later, the frontman traveled to Los Angeles to deliver his bloodied tracksuit and the rest of his monetary reward to Gi-hun's daughter. A homeless man is challenged to a game of dokji by an apparent recruiter, Kate Blanchett, with whom he shortly meets up. Hwang explained that the open ending was intended to demonstrate that even though the lethal games halted in South Korea, the system is still deeply entrenched in response to a question about whether it was a handoff to the suspected American counterpart. Even though Gi-hun's self-sacrificing act caused the gaming arena to be destroyed at the end of the Korean Games, I wanted to emphasize that the system is difficult to disassemble and doesn't merely fall apart when one component is damaged. He stated, "I wanted to communicate that these kinds of games are still going on in the US and that the system is still strong, deeply ingrained, and powerful in this late capitalist society." Hwang added that he wouldn't make major changes and that the series' conclusion was created within the limits of his abilities. After its premiere, Squid Game Season 3 topped Netflix's global top 10 of the most viewed titles for the June 23 to 29 period with 60.1 million views.